There is something new and it's being delivered directly to your door. Dor L'Dor service. Hi, David Paskin here, your Torah tech guy. I am so excited to be back with another episode of The Future is Starting Now. I have like three of the most amazing educators you will ever meet who are on a whole new adventure, a whole new journey into what the future of Jewish education might be. They've hit on something that is really sorely lacking in Jewish learning and the way that we teach and consume Jewish texts and Jewish living and Jewish life, and they're here to share with us today. So I want to introduce you to my four amazing guests. I've got Sandra Lilienthal is here, Sari Kopitnikoff, Batsheva. Batsheva, what's your last name?
Batsheva.
Batsheva. I just called you Batsheva.
That's okay.
I knew there was a Sheva in there.
Absolutely.
Batsheva, sorry.
Frankel.
Frankel, right. Batsheva Frankel. And I just learned that Batsheva is a game designer and a podcaster. I want to learn more about that. Sari, you and I have had a chance to talk before. It's so good to see you again. And Sandra, my old friend. Oh my goodness, do I love learning with you. I'm going to start with you if that's okay, Sandra. Can you just tell us, first of all, what is Dor L'Dor Delivery? Where did it come from?
So this past summer, the three of us, Batsheva, Sari, and I, were together at a Jewish Educators Conference. And we tested a model that we felt was something, we could get to something new, as you said, that was really important. And that is to serve two different kinds of populations with two concepts. One is learning Torah, and the other one is passing Torah to others. So whether it is a teacher, an educator that is learning Torah and then learns tools to pass it down. Now, most teachers have those tools. So for the teachers, what sometimes they are not receiving is the education part so that they can learn Torah Lishma for themselves. But the other population is parents and grandparents that want to learn Judaism, and then they get excited when they come out of classes, and then they would love to share it with their children, but they don't know how. Like, they learn deep concepts, and it seems to them that, how am I going to teach these deep concepts to children? So as you know, I work with adults and I know how to teach adults, but then my two amazing colleagues, Sari and Batsheva, are incredible at games and at strategies to teach younger children in fun ways, but real deep learning. So we decided to test it. We tested it at New Cage and it went extremely well. And we said, hey, let's do this. And here we are.
That's amazing. I want to start with the educator piece of it and what we give to educators. And Sarah, I want to ask you, we just finished up our staff week here in my school. And one of the things that I do with my staff that I feel is really important is I daven with them. The kids aren't here. There's no show to be put on. There's no one that we're teaching to daven. We're just davening ourselves. And the message that I give my teachers is that I don't want this to be an act for the children. When we're davening with the children, I want you to actually be davening. What is Dor L'Dor Delivery going to be able to give educators for their own neshamas, for themselves?
I love that. Yeah, just even giving educators the pleasure of going deep into Torah text study. It's something that a lot of educators are teaching, but how often do they get to experience the joy of breaking apart a text and getting to understand the different layers of it? So that's something that we incorporate in Dor L'Dor Delivery, giving educators the chance to experience learning on their own before teaching them, tools that they can use with their own students.
That's so powerful. You talk on your website about the two doors or the two paths,
Yeah.
right? Which one is for you? So, Batsheva, what are the two paths?
So it's like Sandra was saying, one of them is for educators that we, like they said, give this Lishma wonderful experience, and then some really practical and original and innovative ways to pass that on to your students. So that's one. And then the other is, like we were saying before, is to be able to do the same thing with parents and grandparents or aunts and uncles or whoever, to be able to do that also with the younger people in their lives. How to actually take those beautiful, deep concepts and be able to pass it down to other generations in a meaningful, relevant, exciting, engaging way, basically.
Yeah. Well, so you were just talking about grandparents and children. And one of the things that struck me about what you're doing is that it feels a little bit like a, not one size fits all, but there's something for everyone here. And I'm curious about that. Sandra, I know you've worked with adults. Sari, you're like the family guru, family education guru. It feels to me, at least that's the way I look at you. How is Dor L'Dor Delivery gonna meet all the different needs, the preschoolers and the parents and the grandparents and the educators and the learned and the unlearned? How do you sort of package something that can give a little bit to so many different folks? I don't know, Sandra, if you want to start, or
I'm going to let Sari and Batsheva answer
go for
that
it.
part, only because they've been doing the major work of
okay, great.
all of the games and things like that. So
I would say when you put the three of us together, we encompass, I teach everything from adults to, smaller children, but Sari really knows the smaller children as well. Like when you put us all together, we run the whole gamut together as a team. That's what's so powerful, is that we each bring something to the table that's really unique and interesting. And we also love working together.
And I would also say, look at, like, when I was in first grade, I remember getting my first chumash, and we learned Bereshit. And then fast forward in 12th grade, I learned the exact same thing. And that's how the Torah is set up. It's for everybody. And I often talk about Dr. Seuss. He is one of my heroes. Dr. Seuss. His books, I think, are a little bit ageless. Yes, I can read them with my toddler, and he loves the flow of the language. But I've also used them in high school classrooms to talk about what does it mean to prejudice, to be prejudiced against someone or to create stereotypes. So a lot of these big concepts, like the one we have, coming up about teshuvah, it's such a big idea, and you can break it down to kids as young as 2.5, or you can really build it up and present it to teenagers and everyone in between. And that's what I love about Judaism. It's really for all ages.
Yeah, we're going to come back to the session that's coming up, which I am registered for. I'm so excited about it. It's Sunday. It's Sunday, right? Is that the 28th or Sunday?
28th.
Yeah. Okay. So not this Sunday, but the following Sunday.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So I love the image, Sari, that you just shared about, hafochba v'hafochba, right? We keep reading the same thing over and over again because it resonates with us differently at different ages and stages of our lives. I think that I'm really interested to see how. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. One way to sort of share Torah that can be passed along L'Dor V'Dor is I give something to the adult, and then they pass it on to the child. And the challenge is not to give I think, this is just my thinking, the challenge is not to give the adult the kids' stuff. It's to give the adult stuff, but then also give them the skills and the tools to pass it on. I think of it like family services, right? Family services, a lot of family services are actually junior congregation to which we invite adults,
right,
which is just terrible, right? Because you're not really giving the adults what they need. Right. So how am I reading that correctly? Is the goal here to feed the neshamas of the adults for themselves and to teach them how to? It feels like a heavy lift. I mean, it feels like an amazing lift, but.
So I think here, this is where being together with, the three of us makes it all possible. So the way we're structuring this is the first part of the session is deep text learning, which I will lead. I will be teaching adults. That's what I do. I do it that well. And I will just be focusing on the adults. Now, Sari and Batsheva have already taken that learning that we're going to do, and they have transformed it into, okay, these are activities that you can do. And for example, last night we were going together, the three of us, over certain things that we want to do on the 28th. And it's amazing how the activities that Sari and Batsheva are suggesting for grandparents or parents or any adult that wants to pass this down to their kids, with very slight adjustments, you can use the same activity with a 5-year-old and with a 15-year-old. Now that seems impossible to me, but it's not impossible when Sari and Batsheva put their hands in it. And it's incredible how many tools they are able to give to the adults in 45 minutes that will literally allow them to leave the session feeling that they have learned, that they did adult learning. Not, as you said, it's not, okay, let me teach you here, this is the little story that we're going to teach you so you can tell your child. They have done serious adult learning, but then they're also going to leave with several techniques on how to pass these teachings down.
So
I would also,
yeah, go ahead, please.
so I was also going to add that, now I forgot what I was going to add. I'll remember it.
Add it anyway. Add it anyway.
No, it was something you were talking about, the people, good things. I'm trying to remember.
It's all right. It's
Hey,
all right.
that's the other reason why we really like Sari on our team, because I know I'm old and she's young and she can do
her
like
youth,
amazing
she
things.
can, yeah,
Yes,
she,
yes. We're using her for her youth.
she helps
I'm
her
11,
not forget.
11 years old.
By the way, Sari, I was thinking about you the other day because I was watching a video about how to create your own font, and I was thinking you hand draw everything that you do, right? So
Yes.
there's this calligrapher, like without the E or
Yeah.
something, where you can actually you draw and then it becomes a font on your computer, which is so fun. I don't know. I was
This is
thinking
on my
about it the other
this is
day.
on my to-do list.
Is it really?
Yes,
I
I
did-
love it.
I
Yeah, you can
down,
make-
I downloaded the things but my handwriting is terrible. So by the time I uploaded it, was just
That's good. There's a time and place for all kinds of fonts.
Yeah, I
Sometimes you
guess
want
so.
to mimic that, Dr. Chicken Scrawl.
Do you want to talk a little bit about and Batsheva also, please weigh in here about what Sandra was just talking about, the 5-year-old, the 50-year-old, and how you sort of scaffold or adjust learning for the same learning piece for different ages. Batsheva just remembered.
I remembered. Sorry. I want to jump in before I forget again, but it is sort of pertinent to what you're saying. When we do our sessions and our workshops and so forth, it's not just that we're handing over these tools that they can do with their kids, but all of our stuff is very interactive. When Sandra does her learning piece, it's very interactive. When we do ours, we let the participants experience some of the activities that we're doing so that they can kind of understand it and see how it is. And so that's, an extra piece of it is that they get a little something for themselves as well in terms of that. And then it makes it even easier for them to pass it on. Okay, now you can go back to your question.
Yeah, well, let's say one of our activities touches upon the idea of right and wrong and making choices and the consequences that follow. So if you're doing this with a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, you're going to choose really concrete examples because kids think very much in black and white. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And then skip a few years when you're dealing with teenagers, everything should be more nuanced and you should explain the different kinds of scenarios where maybe there's not a direct, an obvious right or wrong. Maybe it depends on whatever the circumstances are, and maybe there are more than one correct answer. So kind of realizing the different ways kids think at the different ages can really help you. And this is something that anyone dealing with kids can kind of experience and see just by talking to them and seeing what they can understand, because you can have a 5-year-old who thinks like an 8-year-old or a 15-year-old who thinks like a 12-year-old. So sometimes just starting an activity and checking in and seeing how the child is experiencing it can also help you.
That's really inspiring to me because although I've never mastered it in practice, I'm a really big believer in multi-age learning, and which is not, that's not to say that you just put kids anywhere, but it's a recognition, or personalized learning, I guess I should say. It's a recognition that every child is at their own stage, and just because you're 5, just because your made in the USA stamp says born in the year 2017 doesn't mean that you
Exactly.
are at the same stage that everyone else who was born in the year 2007. It's, I think, one of the problems with our education system. And so taking an approach that really appreciates all the different ways that, and here's another thing, it's not just about ages and stages, it's also about how children, how people, not just children, how people learn. So you've got gaming, you've got art, you've got tech study, right? You've got, what are some of the different, there's a name for this, I'm blanking on the name.
Modalities or
Thank you. Yes.
multiple
Multiple
intelligence.
intelligences. Yeah. So how is that playing a piece in this? Are you thinking about kind of, this is a
Yes.
visual piece, this is an auditory piece?
Definitely. But I think,
Movement piece.
yes, if you can get the whole body involved also, that kind of speaks to all students, all children.
Yeah, that's like we do Hebrew through movement, which is
Right.
from Cleveland, and it's very. I mean, and for kids, it's fantastic because it's kinesthetic. They're not just hearing it, they're not just seeing it, they're feeling it, they're being it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Batsheva, do you want to jump in?
Oh no, I was just going to say that the things that we give them, a lot of these activities and so forth, those are fun things that they're going to do together. It's like, it's not just that they're handing it off or teaching or whatever. They're experiencing it with the kids that they're working with, whether it's the teachers or especially the parents and the grandparents, to actually get this opportunity to engage in these ideas with the kids. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's doing Jewish together as a family, which, you were saying earlier, David, before I think we started the podcast, about the fact that the whole system of Jewish education in the last 50 years has basically said to the parents, you don't have to worry. There are schools, there are educators, we're going to teach your kids, which had its benefits when it was done. There was a reason for that, etc. But in today's day and age, where the children spend so little time with their parents because everybody is so busy, etc., this is something that they can do together as a family. It's fun, it's engaging, and it sends the message, which is what obviously all of us believe, that Judaism is ageless. As Sari said before, you're going to learn the story about, Abraham and Isaac when you're 5, when you're 15, when you're 40, when you're 70. And the story is the same, but the story is not the same because the way I read the story is different. So to have all these different ages come together, have a family activity that is owning this Jewish tradition of ours that is so special, and everybody is doing the same thing at their own level, but the same learning, is really, really special.
Yeah. I want to come back to practically what this is actually going to look like when you're offering sessions. But before we do that, you had a great article that you all posted in E-Jewish Philanthropy, and you talked about the origins of this from New Cage. And one of the things that you wrote in here is that there were about 60 educators, and you were doing a session on tshuva, which I hope was inspiration perhaps for the one coming up in a couple of weeks. And you talked about how, where is it here? More than 60 educators who were attending the session were able to glean some deep concepts about tshuva. So I'm curious about you as educators. What is this process, even in that initial sort of testing phase? What was it like for you? What was the learning like for you? Because you're not immune from being a Jew and being an educator and also wanting some Torah for yourself. So I'm curious. Batsheva, I don't know, do you want to jump in? What was that like for you?
Well, the first time I ever got the opportunity to learn with Sandra, I was like so blown away. I kept going back to anything she taught, I would go to. So I'm enjoy when she's teaching. I'm pulled into it and I'm excited by it, and it helps me too. And I think it inspires Sari and I to be able to really translate her energy and her teaching and make that accessible and doable for the adults to be able to pass it on. And to me, like, the reaction was amazing. People it was nothing they'd ever done before, something like this. So it was really exciting.
And I would add also that I happen to be very critical of lecturers, and I have empathy for students, and which is why I always try to make lessons fun and interactive, because it is so boring and monotonous to hear someone talk. Um, I don't attend many lectures because I have very high standards. That being said, I was blown away in the way Sandra presented her, the concepts in such a graceful way, in such a respectful way. I felt like I just wanted to keep learning what she was saying. So that was a special experience for me as a student to, be in a class where I felt like I'm listening and I want to listen. I don't want to doodle and play with my little fidget toys.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Since we all love, we just want to love on Sandra a little bit. I'm actually going to take her out of this shot, and we can just talk about her when she's not here. So, because one of the things that I think Sandra really is amazing at is listening. All right? It's not just about what she wants to share. It's about what she can learn from other people and the other teachers that are there. So Sandra, I'll bring you back in, but I mean, what was the experience like for you, again, as a learner, to have these 60 educators participating in this way?
So I think every educator is always a learner. You cannot be an educator if you're not a learner. I attend weekly classes because that for me is really important. I have to renew my learning. And then when I go into a classroom, whether in person or virtual, I know that every single person in that room has something to teach me. And I honestly believe that. I may have a deeper knowledge of Jewish sources than the majority of people sitting there. I might know a little bit about this or that, but the eyes that are looking into what we're learning have different views. And I don't have any of those views. I only have my views. So being with other people is profoundly energizing to me. And when I say to learners, I can learn from you as much as you can learn from me, they sometimes roll their eyes. But what they don't understand, because they think I'm just saying this to be nice, what they don't understand is that I'm not being nice. I'm being realistic here. If you are, let's say, an engineer, you're going to have a view of that text that is probably not going to be something that I would have noticed. If you are a doctor, you're going to have something else. So everybody brings something to the text. Everybody brings their life experience to the text. Everybody is in the text. I really believe in ownership of the text. So it's really amazing for me to be learning with other people.
That really is something that I wish we could. I don't know how to share that message that this is yours. Like, this is not mine. And again, I don't mean to, to attack the institutionalized Jewish world, but we've kind of, by in my humble estimation, by taking the Torah, putting it up on the bima where only the rabbi and the cantor can go, and kind of having this real separation, I think it feels out of touch. One of the cool things that we do here, actually, at the synagogue I work at, is we have a Torah to go. It's a real full-size kosher Sefer Torah, and every week a different family gets to take it home. And all they have to do for that honor is invite another family over at some point during the week, and then the rabbi or the cantor goes over, and we open the Torah on their dining room table, and we find a letter or a word or whatever. And it for a moment, it feels like, oh, this lo bashamayim hi. This isn't in the heavens. It's right here. It's on my dining room table. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So, I don't.
One more love on Sandra.
Yeah.
I would say it sounds like the beginning of a joke. If you say, 60 Jewish educators walked into a Zoom room. If you could picture what the chat looked like as Sandra was explaining these concepts, there were a lot of questions and challenges, and she handled them so well because she is able to see things from multiple perspectives, and she's just really good at that.
That's so beautiful. So so you mentioned the Zoom in the chat. So practically, what does Dor L'Dor Delivery look like? Are you creating things that people can take and use on their own? Are you doing online workshops? Will you be traveling? Can I get you to come to Florida?
Yes,
what is this going to look like?
I already said that they should come to Florida in the winter.
Yes.
She's working on us.
And we'll go up there in the, yeah.
Because the winters in LA are so brutal. Is that why?
No, Batsheva, because every Jew I know comes to Florida in the winter.
Wait,
I've done
Sari,
it.
where are
I've
you?
taught there
Where are you,
before.
Sari?
New Jersey. You can't tell?
Oh, no. Okay. That's the only place we're not going.
Oh,
We can go to
fine.
LA.
I was just in New Jersey. In fact,
The
Sari and
Garden
I've known
State.
each other we've known each other for 2 years. We've been working together. We love each other. We admire each other. We had never met until last week in person.
Wow.
And we
Well,
actually met. It
there's
was very
COVID for you.
exciting.
There's
Yeah,
COVID
we
for
we
you.
now know what the bottom part of our body
Yeah,
is.
I was gonna say, we know the heights.
We have
You know how-
legs.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Batsheva, did you want to chime in? How does Dor L'Dor
Sure.
Delivery work?
So obviously we would love to do it in person. And if anybody wants to bring all of us in, we would love it. But mostly because we're all in different places. And so are the people that we're teaching, they're all over the place. So it's online and we all have extensive experience teaching online. And so basically it's, Sandra gives over her part with the texts and the participants can see the texts. And then we also do a very visual explanation. We don't just lecture. It's very visual. It's very moving. It's very interactive. So, and very personable and personal. So,
Sari, are you, so much of what you do, I don't know, for me, it's, I want to hold it in my hand, like I have your book back here and it's, there's a tangible beauty to some of the things that you create. Are there going to be any, will you all be sending materials out or will they be downloaded?
Yes,
be able to download
some of
things?
the activities that we discuss come with like a little, you can print this on your own and use at home or, use with your students, kids, etc.
That's great. Some of the
I
best.
want to add
Sorry, go ahead.
one thing only about David, about the online component. I think, when we're doing professional development, it could go both ways. We could be doing it in person, we could do it on Zoom. I think one of the beauties of doing virtual at this point, we all learned, all of us Jewish educators that have been doing virtual for the last few years, have learned that we can reach populations that otherwise would have no access to Jewish education. So if I am not teaching online in Florida, the people in South Florida have tons of opportunities to learn. But I now have learners from Tennessee, from Nebraska, from places where there are not that many opportunities. And we don't want to lose those people because, that these are important learners that happen not to live in heavily populated Jewish areas with a lot of options. So one of the beauties of doing it online is that we can reach all these people as well.
Absolutely. If not knocking in-person gatherings, because I'm all for them, there is, you are losing out on potential audience, on potential learners, when you're only on site, when you don't offer something online. I wasn't really interested in getting into the tech of it, but I guess I'll just ask you, so how are you dealing with some of the limitations that teaching over Zoom presents? Because look, I'm all in. I love it.
You are it. It is in your name.
I'm in. I love it, and I think that there are a lot of things. I think we actually, Sandra, have talked about this a little bit. That I feel that there's ironically there's an intimacy that you can have in a Zoom meeting that you can't have in person, because in a Zoom meeting I can see everyone's face close up. If I want to show someone the Torah, I can literally point a camera at it and everybody can see close up the letters. There's something about this space that allows for things that aren't possible in physical space, and there are also limitations. There's something about not being able to touch another human being, about, again, that sort of the tangible thing that I was talking about, the physical holding something in my hand. Have you all thought a little bit about how you bridge that and make this the best experience possible?
I think because well, two things. One, I've been giving so many classes online. I used to be flown in person to give like professional development stuff. And for the last 2.5 years, almost all of it has been online. I think I did 2 live things in the last 6 months, but that's it. Um, so we've gotten so used to it, and we know how to use the tools and the technology to our best advantage. So I think that that's, we all feel very secure in this modality. Um, Anybody else?
I also think that one of the things I have been doing in the last 2.5 years, which we all intuitively know is important, is the personal connection. But every learner that comes and has a session with us has access to our emails and knows that they can reach out and that we will answer, that we will guide them if need be, etc. So you sort of create that human relationship, not in person, it's true, but still, we do create relationships. I mean, you know, we have seen in certain organizations that I teach for, and David, you do too, for the same organization, how we were just as somebody that is a learner in one of our classes, her mother passed away, and the funeral was this past week. And as I went to the funeral, I had tons of people there that have never met each other because all they know is they know each other from the screen, right? But they all learned together with this lady, so they were there, and they're all talking to each other. Hi, how are you? Etc. Like they've known people forever. So I think we have really gotten used to the fact that you can create strong, important relationships online. It's just something that we never thought was possible, and now we have learned that it is.
I agree
And as it
100%.
says on the bottom, the future is starting now. This is the future. I mean, we're talking
Right.
about virtual reality and meeting people who aren't exactly in our spaces and all of that. It's just beginning, and it's going to be more and more. So if we can kind of tap into that and bring it to your door, door-to-door delivery, it can be a really, really powerful thing.
Absolutely. What some of the best online workshops I've gone to I've signed up for them, and then I received a package in the mail, like a care package in the mail before the event with different things. Like I'm imagining going to a door-to-door delivery activity, and so a package just shows up at my door, with maybe a book from someone or something like that. I don't know. I'm just
It can
saying.
happen in the
Um,
future, for sure could
or
happen.
maybe not a whole book, but I mean, you didn't ask for my advice, but there could be something really beautiful about, in, in addition to having the resources available for people to download and print, in preparation for a large workshop, sending it, with one of those honey sticks along with
Mhm.
something. I don't know. It's
It's a beautiful visual, and we are open to all sponsorship opportunities. So I love it.
Exactly.
there you go. I like that. I'll sponsor something.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. So tell me about this first event that's coming up next week. What's going to be happening there? Sandra, since you're going to be, it sounds like starting the learning, do you want to kind of start us off on what that day is going to look like?
So we're taking tshuva because it's a topic that everybody is talking about as we approach Elul, and Sunday night is already Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is why we chose the date. And we're trying to bring a different understanding of tshuva. I mean, we all have heard about tshuva being translated as repentance. That is the word that is mostly used. And the truth is, it doesn't do justice to the word itself. That's not what tshuva means. And so we want to delve into what tshuva really means, not what is a translation that a word has, but what does it mean? And how does that not just impact your life, but how does that inspire you to work on yourself throughout the month of Elul and through Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur to really go through a process of tshuva that is not just saying I'm sorry, which is what most people learned when they were in Hebrew school. It's really reevaluating who you are and how close are you to what you can potentially be and to what you would like to be. And once you understand that kind of a concept, so where do we go from here? What should I focus on? And what can I do to work on myself to really go through this process in the number of days that I do have for it? while everybody else around me is doing it too. How that can inspire us to connect to Judaism, to connect with the important people in our lives, to connect to God. It's all about that. So we're going to do some text diving into some different texts. We bring modern texts, not just traditional texts, because we think everybody has something to add. And then we have conversations, and I can't tell you what we're going to learn other than what I just said, because as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be learning from everybody, not just from me. So I can tell you what I am going to present, but I cannot tell you what we're going to be learning.
Yeah. And Sari and Batsheva, what are some of the it says games, art, storytelling, spiritual? What are some of those pieces? What can we expect?
Fun interaction. Let's see, no spoilers, but we have 10 plus ideas on how to help kids of all ages and all learning modalities access these very deep and important concepts, whether it's through creative writing, playing a hands-on game, but like getting messy with the concepts.
And also, I mean, we're very into experience. There's so many things we're into, but experiential learning, being able to activate the idea in maybe a physical way or metaphorical way, that, and again, pitched to whatever the age is, what's appropriate for the, we know who our kids and our grandkids are. I don't have grandkids yet, but we know who they are and we know what they can do. And so to be able to pitch it to them. And that's what's really great about these activities. It's not a worksheet. It's not, it's very involving and exciting and fun.
Amazing. I'm so excited for next Sunday, and I'm so excited for the three of you and the amazing work that you're doing. And I just want the word to get out there. I want people to know. So if people want to learn from you beyond this next Sunday, everyone should sign up for next Sunday, but beyond next Sunday, what do they do? How do they get to you? What kind of offerings are available?
We're going to be doing at least once a month. We're going to be doing something along this line with a topic. We've already picked the topic for the next workshop. And then in addition to that, schools can bring us in and, to do professional development stuff. We're open to all kinds of communities, whoever wants to reach us. We are at Dor L'Dor Delivery.com. And then, you can also find all of us individually we all have somewhat unique names. Mine's probably the least unique, but you can find us online as well.
Well, yeah, especially if someone calls you Elisheva. I mean, it's very...
That would be confusing. That would be very confusing, but yeah.
Google will help you out. Did you mean Batsheva?
Well, you know what's funny? When you Google Dor L'Dor, if you get some interesting options. I couldn't remember the full URL exactly. I can never remember if the second door or the first door has two O's or not. So I was doing it with two O's and one, and then you got nothing bad. It's all safe for work. It's just...
That's actually how the title was born. We were kind of joking and laughing about how cliche the phrase Dor L'Dor is, which led us to a lot of, you can come up with a great idea based on making a little twist on an existing cliche. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And it really,
Sari
really came up with that. We both love wordplay, and she just jumped on it, and it was so perfect. We all were just like, that's it. That's the name. Because it says exactly what we do, and it's also fun and playful.
Go ahead, Sandra.
And I just want to add, because I think it's important, Batsheva mentioned that we already have the theme for the next workshop that we're doing. And I would like to share the theme because I think it's important to understand exactly what we have in mind. So the next one is going to be close to Election Day. And because we really want people to understand that Judaism is important to your life, it's not just on Rosh Hashanah when you're talking about Tshuva. Judaism has something to say about Election Day, not a political conversation, but about the importance of being a good citizen, of participating in citizenship in the country that you live, etc. So that's what we're going to be doing at the next workshop. And that's also an important teaching that families can do with their kids. right? Teaching them the responsibilities of a citizen. And what does Judaism say about this? So, we're bringing relevant topics, not because we're so smart and we find relevant topics, but because we believe that Judaism is relevant.
If you need moderators for the chat for that session to make sure that the politics stay out of it, let me know. I can imagine you might want to have a couple of people on hand just to.
We might take you up on.
Yeah.
We're ready for the challenge.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is.
We will make it very clear it's not political in the sense of parties, or it's really about.
We'll be a different kind of party.
Yeah, right. You have a responsibility in life. You are, Judaism tells us you cannot live apart from what's happening in the world and in your community. And so we're going to look at those texts, and we're not here to tell anybody, this is the good way, this is the bad way. We're just here to tell you that participating in a democratic process is fundamentally important.
And, that's
where we stop.
I mean, that's a lesson in Torah unto itself. The Shivim Panim LaTorah. Like we have to know how to. I'll tell you a quick story. So when I was I went to Brandeis, and one of my professors was Reuven Kimmelman, Rabbi Doctor, I think Reuven Kimmelman, who is probably one of the most profound teachers I've ever had. And I was in with my best friend, Olav Shalom, Joe Dropkin. We're in a Talmud class with him. And he would ask a question like, what color is the sky? And everyone would rush to say blue, because Professor Kimmelman was known as the Kimmel monster. He was intimidating. He was scary. And he would get so frustrated because he didn't want us to say blue. He wanted us to say, well, it's a little green and there's a little red and a little orange. He wanted us to push back, to kind of do that yeshivish thing of yelling, screaming. And then, I love you, let's go have some coffee or a beer together. We've lost the capacity to have deep, rich, sometimes really loud conversations without them devolving into really ugly, terrible, and that's such a Jewish thing to be able to do that.
I'm actually working on a curriculum with another organization for adult learners that's all about how to have machloka. It's like, l'shem shemaim, and how to have conversations and encouraging conversations between people that we may or may not agree with, and what that looks like, and how we can do that, again, using Jewish sources and sort of what's the Jewish take on that. So
right.
It's very important.
There's a reason why the best helpers in life are kenegdo, right? Are opposing us or opposite us. If I don't want to sit around with a bunch of people who agree with me, I mean, that might stroke my ego, but I don't learn anything. I don't grow at all. So in any case, if you're looking to grow and learn, go to Dor L'Dor Delivery.com. I am so excited for all three of you, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to just say hello and tell people about it. And I can't wait to see you all next Sunday and learn with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so nice. It's really great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity and for opening doors for us.
God, you're like the master of puns. I love it.
Leave it up to Sari.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
I have dad humor.
You know what? When opportunity knocks, she takes it.
Oh, for the love of... Oh my goodness. The website is Dor L'Dor Delivery. The event is next Sunday at 7:00. You can sign up there. And I will see all of you tomorrow. I'll be on the Zoom Test Kitchen at 3:00 if you want to join me there. Next Tuesday on Torah Tech Tips, and hopefully more opportunities to learn with all of you. Have a wonderful night, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Thank you.